So my name is Karri, and I'm an interaction designer and a user experience designer. I have a long and varied background. First as a DJ and a musician, and then as a journalist, and then as a graphic designer here in Finland. I grew up in Finland and worked in Helsinki for quite a while in my past, and then I moved on to concept design and user experience design, and then moved to North America about 5.5 years ago. So now I live in Toronto in Canada. I've also worked in New York. I was also in the United Arab Emirates for a little while in Abu Dhabi in my past. So been around and now looking forward to staying in Toronto for a little bit at least. I'm kind of getting tired of moving around for now. So I was talking about design and its sort of pretty high level kind of introduction to design and its meaning, its value for startups. So I think that there's a lot of talk in the startup community about design, and there's been a lot of focus on startups that have been co-founded by a designer, or even have a designer, someone with a design background as the CEO. And there's a lot of talk about how those companies seem to be taking off really well, and how design is a major differentiator, and how that's a critical requirement that things are designed. But at the same time, it's difficult for people to integrate design into their processes, into their business processes, and into the kind of lean startup culture and thinking. So that's what I wanted to address, and then I wanted to give people just a couple starting points. So I talked about personality, and I talked about aesthetics as important things for how to, like, those are two things that you should keep in mind. You should keep them in mind from an early stage and focus on them, as well as the minimum viable product kind of idea on functionality. Because today's world is so saturated with products. There's so much out there already. And even if you come up with a sort of a unique idea, even if you have a completely new product, which doesn't even happen so often anymore, I think. But even if you have a really unique idea, you're going to get competition very soon, because things move so quickly in the world, everything's shareable, so you're going to get competition. The way to stand out in that competitive environment is to not only take care of sort of basic requirements like making sure that your product is usable, useful, but also that it's pleasurable, that it's fun, it's enjoyable, it has a unique personality. And that's kind of something that I wanted to introduce in my presentation. Well, for me, it's a great opportunity to come back to Finland and meet some old friends. There's been a few of them, but also to connect with new people. It's really interesting for me to see the startup community in Finland and I guess in Russia, in the Baltics, in Scandinavia in general to develop. I've been away for long enough so that I haven't seen so much of this, and even though I try to stay in touch with how things are back here, it's not always. I don't get an intimate view on who the people are behind the ideas and what's happening here. So that's a big thing for me. The other thing is that it's really grown to become a really major event, and I'm happy to see that there's so many people here. There's lots of opportunities for conversation. There's lots of opportunities for interesting chats with people about design and its role on one hand, which is my own interest, but also to talk about and just to see what kind of ideas are brewing up here. Finland and this part of the world in general, and Scandinavia has a kind of I think a great advantage in how design and architecture and design in general is very valued culturally here. It's got a very long history, and North America is a little bit different. So I think that startups coming from this part of the world will, if they realize to use that strength, play to their strengths, that's a great advantage in the world out there.